Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching the H.A. Goodman channel. And I want to thank first and foremost Luke St. Martin and Eric H526. And I'm going to read you the full text of Botox B, the current Democratic challenger, before he's replaced by Madam Secretary. I'm going to read you his stirring and thrilling and emotional and inspiring speech like a drunken asthma. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. And if you want to support my channel, this is a testament. My voice and my channel, this channel, H.A. Goodman and H.A. Goodman's other channel, is a testament to your human decency. If you don't support my channel, you've given up on democracy, human decency, humanity, everything good, and Santa Claus and all his elves will off themselves if you don't help me. So let's just continue. Let's start with the complete text of Joe Biden's acceptance speech at the Democratic National Convention. I can assure you it'll be just as thrilling and amusing as Biden's speech. Okay, here we go. Good evening. Give people light and they will find a way. Give people light. Those are words of our time. The current president has cloaked America in darkness for much too long. Too much anger, too much fear, too much division. Of course, that has nothing to do with media twisting and adding subtext to Trump's words and fabricating intent and subliminal messages and dog whistling that doesn't exist, and sensationalizing everything and legitimizing suspicion when there shouldn't be suspicion. But let's continue. Here and now I give you my word, if you entrust me with the presidency, I will draw on the best of us, not the worst. I will be an ally in the light, not a darkness. It's time for us, for we the people, to come together. This is Botox B's thrilling speech that he basically gave Trump as a gift. If they actually go with him, he has zero chance of winning, but let's continue. And he spoke in this kind of tone, so if it's annoying, it's not my fault. Already my personality is naturally annoying, but this is exactly how he spoke, devoid of any emotion. So let's continue. For make no mistake, united we can, and we'll overcome this season of darkness in America. We will choose hope over facts, hope over fear, facts over fiction, fairness over privilege. Christopher, Trump is the only dictator in history where his own media attacks. Exactly. Exactly. Kaylee Smith, how many uppers did is Jody gonna finish coherence? All right, let's continue. Kaylee and Christopher. I'm speaking like a cross between the latest Batman, Clint Eastwood, and the local drunk. But let's continue. For make no mistake, united we can. I'm a proud Democrat and I'll be proud to carry the banner for our party in this general election. So it will be with great honor and humility that I accept this nomination as President of the United States of America. But while I will be a Democratic candidate, I'll be an American candidate. I'll work as hard as for those who didn't support me as I will for those who did. That's the job of a president, to represent all of us, not just our base or party. This is not a partisan moment. This must be an American moment. It's a moment that calls for hope and light and love. Hope for our future's light, to see our way forward, and love for one another. America isn't just a collection of clashing interests of red states and blue states. We're so much bigger than that. Nearly a century ago, Franklin Roosevelt pledged a New Deal in a time of massive unemployment, uncertainty, and fear. Stricken by disease, FDR insisted that he would recover and prevail. And he believed America could as well, and he did. And so we can. And so can we. This campaign isn't just about winning votes, it's about winning the heart and, yes, the soul of America. If you don't vote for me, you ain't got no soul. If you don't vote for me, your soul's a dog-faced pony soldier. If you don't vote for me, you know the deal. Soul, heart, yes. Winning it for the generous among us, not the selfish. Winning it for the workers who keep this country going, not just the privileged few at the top. Winning it for those communities who have known the injustice. For all young people who have known only America's rising inequality and shrinking opportunity. They deserve and to experience America's full promise and full. No generation ever knows what history will ask of it. All we can know is whether we'll be ready to the moment arrives. And now history has delivered to us one of the most difficult moments America's ever faced. 4 historic crises, all at the same time. A perfect storm. Let's continue. Where was I? Dog-faced pony soldier. And now history has delivered to us one of the most difficult moments America has ever faced. Let me know if your resting heart rate goes above sleep level. It was the deep sleep level. 4 historic crises all at the same time. A perfect storm. The worst pandemic in 100 years. Worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The most compelling call for the 1960s. So what's the question for us? Are we ready? I believe we are. We must be. All elections are important, but we know our backbones. We know our bones. We know in our bones this one's more consequential. America's at an inflection point. A time of real peril. Of extraordinary possibilities. We can choose the path of becoming angrier. As hopeful and more divided a path of shadow and suspicion. Or we can choose a different path. And together, a chance to heal, reborn. And unite a path of hope and light. This is a changing election that will determine America's future for a very long time. Character is on the ballot. Compassion is on the ballot. Decency, science, democracy. These are all on the ballot. We are as a nation we stand for. And most importantly, who we want to be. This is all on the ballot. And the choice cannot be clearer. No rhetoric needed. No judge this president. Just judge this president on facts. 5,107,000. Worst performance of any nation. Of course, they don't have de Blasio and New York's governor in other countries, but here, 7 to 8 Democratic-run states account for half of all lives lost in cases. But let's continue. By far the worst performance of any nation on earth. Mom and pop businesses will close their doors for goods. The doors for good. Good for doors. It's Democratic governors have been shutting down the economy. A solid, affordable character. You make every day believing job is all about him, never about you. Is that the America you want for your family, your children? I see a different America. One that is generous and strong, selfless and humble. It's an America we can build together. As president, the first step I'll take is to get control over the risk of our lives. A tragedy is bad. Look around. It's not bad in Canada or Europe or Japan, almost anywhere else in the world. Well, they don't have New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and 3 or 4 other Democratic-run states. Lead the world. If I'm president one day, I'll implement the national strategy I've been laying out since March. I'll deploy a reputation. We'll make sure our skills have resources. We'll put aside politics and muscle our experts, and then take the muscle off our experts. I'd love to take the muzzle off of me. Let me go wild. Experts gone wild. Give me some more Clorets. We'll put the politics aside and take the muzzle off our experts so the public can have information. Honest, unvarnished truth they can deal with. We have a national mandate to as well. It's a patriotic duty. Dog, pony soldier, corn pop. He failed to protect us. He failed to protect America and my fellow Americans. This is unforgivable. Look, I understand it's hard to give up hope now. On this summer night, let me take a moment to speak to those who have lost the most. With an education system that trains our people the best jobs, with a cost of a child and elder, with rising wages, you can raise a family. We can and we will deal with climate change. It's not only a crisis, it's an enormous opportunity, an important opportunity for America to lead the world. They could create millions of good-paying jobs. For our senior, Social Security is a sacred promise. The current president is threatening to break that promise. Trump. He's proposing to eliminate tax that pays for almost half of Social Security. I will not let that happen. Believe you me. With every life and breath left in me, I will not let that happen. If I'm president, we're going to protect Social Security, America. You have my word. One of the most powerful voices we hear in the country is from our young people. They're speaking of inequality. I hear the voices. What'd you say? I hear the voices if you listen. And you can hear them too. Come on, man. And whether it's an existential threat posed by climate change, a daily affair is going to find an inability to do a job. It will be the next president to restore a promise to America. I won't do it alone because will have a great president by my side, vice president by my side, Senator Kamala Harris. She's a powerful voice in this nation of stories, in American stories. She knows the obstacles surrounding her, the winning black left behind. Behinds, yeah. But she's overcome every obstacle she ever faced. 1,000 cases thrown out because of lab technicians snorting the cocaine. Kamala and I both draw strength from our families. For me, it's Jill and ours. No man deserves one greater love in his life. I never knew a love like this before, but I've known she's an educator, served in our nation. I believe we're up to it. I believe we're running. Just a week ago, yesterday, I believe we are as a great nation. Good, decent people in the United States of America. Irish poet, shameless. What's wrong? The history says, no. This is our moment to make history. That's right. Roses are red, violets are blue. You're a dog-faced pony soldier, and a corn pop is too. With passion and purpose, let's begin. You and I together, one nation under God. And you know the deal. United in our love for America, love for each other. For love is powerful than hate, and hope is more powerful than fear. Light is more powerful than dark. This is our moment, this is our mission. May history, I promise you, thank you. And may God bless you, and may God protect our troops. I'm going to win this election. I don't care how many people I have to put to sleep. Ladies and gentlemen, G-Man! So, let me tell you something. G-Man, thank you so very much. That was more inspiring. The way I read it was more inspiring, was more enthusiastic, had more passion behind it. And I'm telling you, G-Man, thank you. It was annoying that what I did, Hidden for Time, Call it Luke St. Martin. You should not have at least once. Come on, man. Listen, Gailey Smith, I got hairy legs. I just want to tell you, it's been decency. Hairy legs are turned blonde in the sun. Got hairy legs. Corn Pop was a bad dude. You guys are bad boys. What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys. G-Man, Kaylee Smith, Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, Hidden for Time, thank you so very much. I'm not right about everything, but at least I have passion, have energy. Most of my analysis has been spot on. If I go out on a limb, fine. Clinton is going to be nominee eventually. She'll be on that ballot. I'm rolling with it forever. President Trump is going to obliterate Botox B. Now, if I was to go to you every single day, now this is just, let's just take this, we'll dissect this. If I was to go to you, and if I was to say, thank you, everybody, for watching the H.A. Goodman channel. Luke St. Martin, thank you. Eric H526, thank you. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526. Well, two good moderators, yeah. Moderators, whatever. If you want to support my work, do so, or else your soul is at stake here. You don't have to if you want to support my, so whatever. If I were to do that, why would you watch this channel ever? Okay, already as it is, people enjoy watching the channel. I'm upbeat and in a somewhat amusing, potentially annoying sort of way. I'm proud of the things that I've accomplished, although they're not breathtaking, but I've accomplished certain things. And I'm able to transmit some energy, some enthusiasm. And how many people are saying that Clinton will eventually be nominee? Only me. I'm the only person on the internet. But I'm also saying that President Trump's going to win the election. President Trump's going to win the election because people like you, like me, don't want never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. I was listening today. I've been doing a lot of opposition research, listening to all the wonderful, brilliant voices on the left, far left, very far left. And one person is like, oh, gosh, the 1999 Bill Clinton's intervention in Serbia, really, well, that worked out. No, it didn't. And the horrific conflict in the former Yugoslavia took place it started 8 years prior. So the response from the far left is like, well, not every intervention is bad. I mean, come on. It's like, no, Vietnam, Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld's never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts in numerous countries. Now you have President Obama's devastating intervention in Libya that caused people to be bought and sold, human beings to be bought and sold, an intervention where a leader is deposed or, we kick out a leader and then just leave is different from what Bill Clinton did, which didn't. Horrendous chaos took place right after that NATO intervention. But so that's not an example of a success. We very rarely can intervene under the guise of humanitarian reasons and actually do something. You can look at military conflicts, U.S. military conflicts throughout history. Every conflict is justified in terms of humanitarian purposes. The issue that President Trump is against is not necessarily utilizing missiles. It's sending Americans off to never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. That's the issue. A counterinsurgency conflict is different from what Bill Clinton did, and what Bill Clinton did in 1999 didn't officially end anything because chaos and mayhem continued for several years after that. But Bill Shepard, Bill Shepard, thank you. Bill Shepard, thank you very much. Ferris Bueller, could Madam Crooked be waiting for the first Trump debate as her in for the takeover? It will be clear that Point Joe is completely jello, or plans set up until 2024. Ferris Bueller. Ferris Bueller. I think that I think it's going to happen before the debates. I don't see them because they've already lost so much support, and they didn't listen to me. I said, look, you have Madam Secretary somehow become nominee. I don't know how they would transfer from Biden to Clinton, but Clinton is a superior candidate. I mean, you can't win. With the left, you can't win. I was saying that Clinton couldn't win in 2016, 2015. NPR quoted me. They didn't listen to me. Now I'm telling them the only chance they possibly have to defeat Trump is Clinton. They didn't listen to me then. So I agree with you, Ferris. I think it's going to be before the first debate, but we'll see. Hillary Clinton will be on that ballot. She's the only chance they have. Thank you, Ferris Bueller. Bill Shepard, thank you. Simon Hathaway Spurlock, Bill and Ferris, thank you so very much for your generosity. Thank you. Simon Hathaway Spurlock, trust the plan, I mean prophecy, Joe cannot debate. Yeah, pretty much, Simon, pretty much. Morpheus, 1960s down versus 2020. That's what happened. Kennedy and President Trump have a lot more in common than President Obama and JFK. JFK, one of the best things he ever did was not listen to his experts and foreign policy advisors. They said, invade Cuba. He said, no way. Because he learned from the Bay of Pigs that the intel community has their own warped view of the world. And they were horrendously wrong in the Bay of Pigs. And he didn't listen during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Jay Barnard, thank you. Jay Barnard, thank you so very, very much. Jay, Ferris, and Bill, thank you so very much. See, if I were... like, one of the things about a YouTube channel, Morpheus, or just any, you have to, if I was to, Morpheus, thank you so much, thank you. You helped the soul of this nation by helping me. Bill Shepard, thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Ferris Bueller, I saw the movie, it was a good movie. You're helping the soul of this country and our democracy, Ferris, thank you. Thank you. Jay Barnard, thank you so much, thank you, Jay. Jay Barnard, thank you. If I were to speak like that, you would say, "What's wrong with this person?" I'm not going to waste time listening to this person. Everyone here, Jay Barnard, Ferris, Bill Shepard, Simon. I was listening to Joe's speech, so you don't have to, and I was listening to. I am obviously biased, but I was trying to give him actually the benefit of the doubt for a moment. And I was saying, okay, look, I want to listen to this man, and I want to see if he has any characteristic, if he displays any of the characteristics of a candidate who can actually win. And I found nothing. Obviously, he spoke in a more elevated tone. But when you listen to Biden, when he's serious, it's kind of like someone lowered the volume. They say President Trump is boisterous and belligerent, and he's brash, and my goodness, he's like a bull in the china shop. Well, people listen and watch, and it resonates with people who agree with President Trump. Over 60 million people agree with President Trump. Probably over 60 million people agree with Biden. The difference, though, is that Biden does not inspire anyone. So Trump is going to very likely get the popular vote. I can see him getting I'm not going to say he is because he doesn't have media by his side. But I can't go into life. Honey, I just want to tell you, if you don't marry me, your soul is at stake. Do you want to burn? And do you want your soul to be basically, decimated for all time? You're going to marry me, right? Please, don't be a dog-faced pony soldier. You're going to marry me? It's your soul is at stake and our democracy is at stake, so you're going to marry me, right? Okay, good. Ultimatums don't work when you're trying to talk about love, relationships. I mean, look, we've been going out for 8 years. Let's get married. That kind of ultimatum usually takes place, but that's not. I'm talking about ultimatums like you do love me, right? And if you don't love me, the country is going to our republic is at stake here, and the Constitution will be ripped apart if you don't love me, right? You do love me, right? If you don't love me, then our Constitution means nothing. Okay, so our democracy is at stake. You better love me. It doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. You cannot, Jay Barnard, thank you. Climb BMX, hello. You cannot. I love tomatoes. I love ketchup. I love hot sauce. I love pasta sauce. I love, there are a lot of things about it. Mike F., thank you very much. You cannot force people to love something, to even like something. You can't force positive emotions upon others. You can force obedience, but inside the person, they're going to rebel. If you tell your daughter, your son, you can't date that person, even if that person, even if the daughter or the son is like, gosh, do I really want to be with this person? I mean, he or she doesn't really treat me that well. The second the father or the mother says, you can't be with that person, oh my God, it's Romeo and Juliet. Oh my God, if someone says, you can't eat that cake, you can't eat that apple pie, you can't eat, if someone says you can't, the instinctual reaction, especially throughout the world, especially in the United States of America, is, oh yes, I will. That's why, I mean, with Trump, the derangement issues, anything he says, breathing is good. No, breathing bad, everyone stop breathing. So his entire speech was this really low energy, apathetic appeal to good decency, the good decency of Democrats, and this appeal to the good decency of human beings who obviously should align their views with the Democratic Party, because if you don't, you are basically turning your back on humanity. The assumption within Botox B's speech is that he holds the keys to the future only because he says he does, and if you can't hear him, turn up the volume. If you're not inspired by Biden or any of the Democrats, that's your problem. You haven't turned up the volume in your car or in your record player at home, which is what Biden thinks we all have. And it's like he hasn't given any reason for people to vote for him, and he certainly hasn't given any. There are no attributes that he's expressed or displayed that would make you want to even have a beer with Biden. Like, I don't want to be yelled at if I have a beer with somebody. Hey, you junkie! You junkie! Miller Lite! It's Coors Light! It's Bud Light! Junkie! I don't want to even have a beer with Biden. They say that, I mean, George W. Bush was the worst president we've ever had. He was the worst president that we've ever had in every way. And we've had a lot of bad presidents. But he was the worst president. President Trump is the best president of my lifetime, infinitely better than President Obama. President Obama destroyed a country in Libya. And no, it's not like... the notion on the left that, well, we have good intentions, so therefore interventions are okay, that is absurd. No one says, well, gosh, I have to destroy your house, but really it's to save you. No, I mean, you don't destroy a person's house to save the person. So, the United States military is not a humanitarian organization. It's there to protect us militarily. And there hasn't been an intervention. There hasn't been an intervention that ever worked out to protect, or that has ever worked out, I should say, where we imposed a regime change and then left. There's never been an intervention that worked out where we went in, removed the leader, propped up a leader, kept our soldiers there endlessly, and then left. That has never worked out in the United States history, and it's never worked out in French history. It's never worked out in Soviet history. Okay? The Soviets and the French and other countries did the same things that we did before we did them. Okay, they engaged in the same foreign policy. Mike F. I want to pay respect on your election prediction. Biden is done. Thank you, Mike F. Thank you. Biden is done. Because as annoying, Mike F. Thank you so very, very much, Mike, and thanks for the kind words also. Mike, look, they have something up their sleeve. I don't trust them as far as I can throw Jerry Nadler. And I could probably pick Jerry Nadler up, but I couldn't throw him far. Okay? If I could deadlift 315, which you could see the videos, Nadler probably doesn't weigh 315. So I could pick him up. He probably weighs 280. No, he had the lap band. So probably 240. He's only like 5'2", 5'3", or 5'4". So, but 240. So I could pick him up, but I couldn't throw him far. How far do you think you can throw Jerry Nadler? You can't throw him far. So, thank you, Jack. Thank you. I don't see any enthusiasm, passion, anything, and I think they're waiting for the right moment to spring Madam Secretary, and God bless her. Nobody's a bigger fan of Hillary Clinton, than I am in all of the internet. I think she suffered for our sins. She's a great human being. She had a stellar track record at the State Department. There's nothing bad you could say about Hillary Clinton. She's fantastic. All those things I said in 2015, 2016, NPR quoted me saying she would lose swing states. I accurately predicted the 2016 election, and I'll accurately predict this election. President Trump is going to win again. But see, the left they're gluttons for punishment. They are trying to, this charade with Botox B, because let's just call him, that's who he is, Botox B. Okay. He has a face like this. This is either plastic surgery gone wrong, or he looks like an extra on The Nightmare Before Christmas. Trade feeds! DNC had clones on screen to clap. It's interesting. Their trade feeds, whoever produced the biggest disaster, debacle, catastrophe in digital or television or internet history, should definitely be hired by the Democratic Party again. Frank! I've always never believed you're Hillary 3, but yesterday Trump welcomed Hillenbummer to the battlefield, and the first thing I thought of was you. Frank, something's going on. My spider sense and Frank, something's going on, and I will have made the biggest political call of all time. Trade feeds, thank you. Mike F, thank you for the kind words also. Something's going on. Frank, you can't, this is not, nobody does this. I just want to invite you all to a 10-year wedding anniversary. I've spent 10 years with this woman, and it's a testament to my patience. Just want to invite, the hors d'oeuvres are pretty good. You have a 1 in 4 chance of getting salmonella. And if you've parked your car, you can rest assured you'll have no hubcaps at the end of the night. Also, if you walk to your car when the festivities are over, you better be armed or at least have mace, because your life is at risk. I hope you enjoy the party, everybody. The soul of this country's at stake, and well, what can I tell you? It's been 10 years since I've been married to this woman, and well, let's just say that I've now experienced everything there is to experience. Nobody speaks like that during a 10-year wedding anniversary. Nobody does that. Nobody does this. Who does? Who speaks like this? Who speaks like this? Nobody does this. Life is supposed to be happy. Life is supposed to be full of joy, enthusiasm, passion. When Trump speaks, people know that he stands for something, and people know that, well, when he speaks, when he's impromptu, he's hilarious. So, it's kind of like you cannot win. Like, at least Bernie has a good shtick going. The 1%. I want to let you know something right now. Every single time that a person loses their job, the 1% makes money. And people, oh my God, it feeds on it. You know, people have made money. The 1% has made money off of this calamity. It gets people going. It gets people going. The Democrats only have emotion. Trump has emotion and policy. Trump has emotion and foreign policy. His foreign policy is different from the Lincoln Project people. His foreign policy is different from the Democratic Party, Lincoln Project, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, Dick Cheney, Rumsfeld, Max Boot, Bill Kristol foreign policy. It is different in every way, or I should say it is different in the biggest way possible. He is reversing U.S. foreign policy. Biden wants, well, it won't be Biden, it'll be Clinton, but Botox B wants to continue failed foreign policy. President Trump won because of Biden. And then he says, oh, well, and President Obama and Hillary Clinton. And then he says, I'm going to defend you from threats. Russian interference took place under their watch. Okay? Then he says he's going to give you clean water. Flint took place under their watch. And President Obama said, yeah, I'm in the mood for a drink. I'm in the mood for a drink. I'm going to drink Flint water, and I'm going to do so in a presidential manner to try to convince people and deceive people that their poisonous water is actually safe to drink. And they applaud. They don't care. The one unique thing about the left is that they enjoy being stomped on and cheated, or they'll accept being cheated and bullied and intimidated and silenced as long as they can seem moral or feel that they're morally superior. They have a morality fetish. That's why they don't really care about true morality. They care about being morally superior. It's kind of like wanting to be the most loved but not knowing how to love. Okay? Or winning the most trophies but never having won a trophy. They're the type of people who say, I can teach others about morality and ethics and how to treat people and how to conduct myself and right and wrong. And then when they get caught in the act, they say, well, everyone does it. It's just politics. They're the ones with Kavanaugh that said, oh my God, believe. And then when it was Tara Reade, gosh, you have to vet, and Steele dossier, okay, but Russian interference is not okay. Well, the Steele dossier was compiled with Russian sources and one Russian intelligence source. It's never been used to indict anybody. Kevin Kleinsmith was indicted recently. Now they're touching themselves in ecstasy with Steve Bannon. Well, I'm voting for President Trump. I'm not voting for Steve Bannon. I'm not even a Republican. This is the first election where I've ever voted. I was a lifelong Democrat. I was published endlessly in the Huffington Post. All my articles went through the editors at Salon, the editors at the Huffington Post, the editors at The Hill. I was a lifelong Democrat on the far left. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet. Tim Pool is voting for President Trump, which is fantastic. He's a progressive on many issues. I'm no longer a progressive. I don't even want to be associated with that word. I don't even know what that word means. Hillary Clinton's a progressive. Who knows what that means? I always thought being progressive was wanting American soldiers back home from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts that Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld got us into, and President Obama continued. You cannot send the United States military to occupy regions forever. Okay?
That is not, we do not have a claim to any of these countries, nor do we have the ability militarily to impose peace, a political solution. And we're putting our soldiers in an unwinnable situation forever. We should have. General Daniel Bulger wrote a book, Why We Lost. The United States military is not meant to intervene for humanitarian reasons or to impose regime changes that never work out. You can look at every foreign policy debacle from Vietnam to Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld to Libya under President Obama. It's the same theme, and interventions do not work. The Lincoln Project people, Max Boot, Bill Kristol, Robert De Niro, Hollywood, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Tom Perez, Clinton and Biden, and your favorite far left person who says that they don't like the Democratic Party are all okay with interventions. President Trump is not okay. And there's a difference between a military strike and interventions. He is against U.S. foreign policy. That's the same. He's against the Max Boot, Bill Kristol, Dick Cheney, Rumsfeld, Kerry, Clinton, Biden, President Obama foreign policy. So that is something that Trump stands for. He stands for that. Biden, we can only assume, stands for the same policies as President Obama because he's stated he wants the same foreign policy. Does he want Libya again? Does he want another country destroyed like Libya? I don't know. He hasn't told us. Bucolic Buffalo, you know the thing. You know the thing. Thank you, Bucolic Buffalo. Thank you. Bucolic Buffalo, you know the thing. Thank you very much for your generosity. Robert Barron. Bannon used to be one of them. Goldman Sachs. Well, I used to be a financial advisor, but he was probably an investment banker. Robert Barron, thank you. I think that once you start, there are Democrats that did pretty much the same things. We don't have to go into it. But they never get caught, Robert Barron. I wonder why. And how much money, and we're talking millions upon millions of dollars, how much money is raised by PACs associated with left-leaning causes or pundits? We'll leave it at that. Robert Barron, thank you so very much. And if Bannon is guilty, then he committed crimes. Hey, you do the crime, you do the time. I mean, I'm talking about like violent crimes or like, you're messing around with millions of dollars and engaging in fraud. But by the way, I'm wondering what happened to the $200 million that Bernie Sanders, or I should say the DNC acquired through Bernie Sanders, his wonderful promises or his wonderful leadership. Amanda, thank you so very much for the kind words. Amanda, thank you. The most lucrative, and this is something that's so counterintuitive, Robert Barron and Bucolic Buffalo, as always, thank you so very much. The most lucrative business is not, designing a tech app or, the most lucrative business is politics, because the bank, the people who run the banks, the people who run the publishing companies, the people who can decide what takes place at a certain location, the people who are going to need certain parts of the city to to build shopping malls or whatever. When things are going to take place. Or to build, big city projects. I'm alluding to what took place in Tammany Hall with legal graft, where it was the pamphlet, the book, The Plunkett of Tammany Hall, where he would talk about George W. Plunkett, where he was one of the party bosses at Tammany Hall, and he would talk about how he knew when the city would need certain parts of land, certain locations, and then he would buy up the land in those locations and then charge the city exponential amount for the land. So you know when things are taking place. Bucolic, Buffalo, thank you. Robert Barron, thank you. Bruce Wayne, H.A. When and how are you red-pilled? You know, Bruce Wayne, it was about a 7 to 8 month, about a year-long process where when you're part of a cult, because I was I was on the far left. This is before Rose Twitter. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, and I never once talked about socialism. I shied away from it. And I should tell you what the 2016 Bernie Sanders was about. It was had nothing to do with socialism. Socialists can't even point to a socialist state. Even the Scandinavian states are like, nah, we're not socialist. Bruce Wayne, I think it was the maniacal, hysterical reaction to my writing in the Huffington Post, the Hill, Salon during the 2016 election. The fact that they're okay with being cheated. But the main thing that red-pilled me was the willingness to accept interventions. And whether it's a NATO intervention or Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld interventions, the same outcome takes place. You know, you inadvertently destroy a country under the guise of trying to help people. So the far left is focused on the allure of morality. They have a morality fetish. They don't really care about what's right and wrong. If they cared about what was right and wrong, they would say, hey, from Vietnam to Libya, we have not helped people. Or I should say, our well-meaning establishment Democrats and establishment Republicans have not helped people. Now you have the neoconservatives, Lincoln Project, literally people who ran on a marriage amendment banning gay marriage. Literally these people. The far left is like, they don't even stand for anything. They stand for nothing. They're retweeting, or I should say the establishment of the Democratic Party retweets the same people who got us into never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. They retweet the Lincoln Project people who were kicked out of the Republican Party because Trump doesn't want their foreign policy anymore. And then I'm not going to tell you the actual YouTube channels or the people who espouse this, but you have people on the far left who are like, gosh, interventions are okay. Because it's under, the reasoning is to help people. It's like, well, when have we helped people? And then one example was Bill Clinton in 1999. It's like, well, that didn't stop anything. That was, in some ways, made what took place there worse. I can't really get into it on the YouTube live stream here, but you're talking about the Yugoslav war conflict started in the early 90s, like 91. Bill Clinton waited until 99. So he was president in 93. Waited until 99. So that's not an example of heroism and courage. And it's very different from sending Americans off and keeping them there forever. And it's very different from a regime change that President Trump is against. Also, President Trump's going after corrupt intelligence officials that set him up and framed him. So Bruce Wayne, there's like so many reasons. The actual Bernie 2016 supporters, a lot more than you think, are now voting for President Trump. Because the overlap, there's a far greater overlap between Bernie 2016 supporters and Trump supporters. Bernie 2020 is a different type of supporter completely. Give me I was going to say, give me your thoughts below. Bruce Wayne, thank you very, very much. Little Stevie, 4172. Hello, H. Do you think Rose McGowan might vote for Trump after her tweet bashing Biden and DNC? I don't know. Probably not. Because then that would really, really hurt her career. Because they would, they would just ensure that there was just retribution. Like she would never get work again. Because, all the right, morally superior, righteous producers and directors in Hollywood would say, I'm not going to vote for it. I'm not going to work with a Trump supporter. So I almost hope that she doesn't, just so her career is not impacted by that. I mean, you have they're hypocrites. If your vantage point is you need evidence before you can make an accusation, then keep that. If you have the evidence, if you have credit card receipts, or if there's alcohol involved, or there's manipulation involved, okay. But if it's just based on the word of the individual, and you don't believe the individual that accused Biden, but you do believe the individual that accused Trump, you're hiding behind morality, and you're hiding behind these moral precepts that you claim to uphold only for political gain. You don't really believe. They never really believed. I'm talking about the Democratic Party. I'm talking about the politicians. They never really believe. They never really believed in the outrage and the yelling and the screaming. They did so purely, and this is another reason that that they'll lose. Let's see. I'm reading Rose McGowan's tweets right here. So, the left eats itself up because they live within labels, semantics, categories, everything but real life. I have a lot of respect for Rose McGowan. Even if she dislikes Trump, I don't really care, because she single-handedly stood up to an entire machine. And it's interesting how she's kept fighting. And she's, holding her. So she's holding her own and battling this machine. It's interesting. Wow. She just is going off on these directors and producers. These are the most immoral people on the planet. And these people are like straight up engaged in illegal activity. I mean, just illegal activity left and right. I can't even read this on the live stream. I'm reading Rose McGowan's. Look, let's put it this way. You have a person who, how do I say this? There is no political subtext in anything Rose McGowan says. There's definitely political subtext in what took place with Kavanaugh. I'll leave it at that. There have been people, but you're talking about unjustly incarcerated, you're talking about people of color unjustly incarcerated. Everyone should learn the story of Brian Banks. Everyone, look up Brian Banks right now. I mean, humanity, this world exists with Rose McGowan and Brian Banks living in the same world, where the truth and reality is what should be the most important to people, not a political side. He was falsely accused, much like the people of color who were falsely and wrongfully imprisoned under the wonderful Kamala Harris, where there was a crime lab where people were snorting the narcotics for personal use. Could you imagine? What kind of crime lab? What kind of crime lab has technicians that snort the narcotics? I just want only the Democrats would. Oh my God! It was just a little toot. What's the problem? And then but this world should. I mean, you have Brian Banks. I mean, this is reality. Reality is you have a man who was falsely accused and served prison time for something he never did. I mean, could you imagine? And he had committed to USC. He was on his way to the NFL. 6 years imprisoned for something he didn't do. Could you imagine? Could you imagine being imprisoned for 6 years for something you didn't do, Brian Banks? And then could you imagine having gone through everything that Rose McGowan went through? And it's like one story should not mitigate the other story. Both people have experienced, hell on earth. Reality should address the injustices both people have experienced and should not politicize the injustices both people have experienced. But see, that's not what the Democratic Party does. They yell and scream and screech when it suits them, and then they behave in, I guess, the way you would think like Republicans would behave, or the way they accuse Republicans of behaving when it suits them. So they don't really have a value system. And then it's the same morally bankrupt people in Hollywood are the same people who are constantly preaching. That's another reason Trump is going to win. Can I tell you? I don't care what Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel think about anything. The reason that there will never again be another Johnny Carson. I loved Arsenio Hall. I loved Johnny Carson. But the reason there'll never be another Johnny Carson or another Arsenio Hall is because you can't be entertained anymore. There's no entertainment anymore. It's called show business. It's not called Democratic Party business. There's no entertainment anymore. Comedy is like diluted to the point of the most vapid observational comedy, like that. My God Almighty, is so vanilla and plain, and movies are tanking. I mean, Hollywood is like, losing money. And like you have to actually go on YouTube and watch old reruns of interviews from 15 years ago or at least 10 years ago to even enjoy yourself. If you want to see you want to see Hollywood before it became an extension of the Democratic Party. But I don't usually listen to people who are hypocrites. My value system didn't change going from Bernie Sanders to Trump. If it's like a direct line on a bunch of things. A direct line. But see, the left is so consumed with semantics and labels that they can't possibly accept that a Bernie Sanders supporter will vote for President Trump. Pete Solano! HA movies are not like the 80s movies. Exactly, Pete. There were even up until the early 2000s. Now everything is, oh my God, that is, I'll speak in roundabout terms. Oh my God, that's objectifying. That's objectifying the human form. That's objectifying this. Okay. it is you're watching a movie. Yeah, I have to speak in roundabout terms. So you're objectifying. Okay, when you have action heroes using firearms, are they supporting the NRA? We can go on forever. You can't even enjoy yourself or watch a movie because there is this warped left-leaning subtext, or there's this complaint that you're going to get where what they see, they do this to Trump's words all the time. Trump never says, oh yeah, those horrible people were fine people. He never said that. It's the subtext. Oh, well, he meant this. That's another reason they'll lose. They'll lose for like a million reasons. But like Brian Banks and Rose McGowan, everyone should be able to see this is a black man who was wrongfully incarcerated and accused of something he didn't do by a black woman. And everyone should know Brian Banks' story because he had his life taken away from him for something he didn't do, which is interesting that Kamala Harris did that to people. And this is a fact. There were people unjustly incarcerated under her watch. Jamal Truelove is an example. Kamala Harris prosecutors sent this innocent man to prison. Another black man sent to prison by a Democrat. Okay? Unjustly. Imagine losing 1 second of your life behind bars for something you didn't do. And especially a crime that, I wouldn't mind the death penalty for at all, and I'm serious about that. But see, again, I think it would go both ways. If you accuse somebody like Brian Banks, you should get the death penalty if you lie about it. I know that some people might say that's extreme, but sorry, can't do that to people. Can't take 5 years of a person's life away to where they can't, live life. But also, if you do what Rose McGowan experienced, I think you should get the death penalty for that. So, I don't know. Like the Democratic Party, it's so transparent now. Their grift, the biggest cheaters and grifters, and what they do is they utilize the suffering, not only historical suffering. The far left does this all the time. They're the biggest hypocrites on the planet. They say that they would fight 1930s and 1940s Germans, but ask them how they think of Israel. You have one person who was literally banned off of Twitch for his anti-Semitism, and then he claims that he would fight 1930s and 1940s Germans. I can't use the word, but So the left is all over the place. The left is all over the place. Then they use a phrase that I'm not going to use because of the algorithm, but they'll use a different phrase for detention centers to deceive and to use the semantics and the emotions and the sentiments from that word, from the most barbaric and heinous and atrocious and inhumane moments in world history and Jewish history. Instead of saying detention centers, they'll use another word, another phrase, directly relating in a very overt attempt. The wonderful progressive congresswoman did that, and I wrote about that in the Jerusalem Post. They have no shame. Do you understand? There's no shame in their game, and they do this with Black history and African American history and culture also. They do any way they can manipulate heartstrings and manipulate emotions and create and fabricate emotions, or I should say foment emotions through fabricated narratives. They'll do. They don't really care about the truth. They don't care. They are worried about false accusations when the accusations are leveled at them. They are manic. They are hysterical and fanatical about believing when it's their political opponent. There are no standards that they don't run by a specific code of conduct. You see, Trump, he never blames anyone for a loss, or, I mean, he'll blame people in terms of politics, but he'll never say, he'll never make it a big issue. Like, well, if it wasn't for China, we couldn't do this. Like, Democrats have engaged in the most xenophobic 4 years. Everything had to do with Russia stole the election from us. Russia stole the election from us. That's xenophobia. That's demagoguery. You know, these are the definition of demagogues. Trump said one thing that was crude. Yes, it was crude. In 2015, one thing that Schumer and others have said. If you look at what they've said over the years, they've said the same types of things. But at least with, I don't see them keeping Biden for long. I think that I'm not a fan of Hillary Clinton at all, but Hillary Clinton is the only chance they have to possibly defeat President Trump. So they can simply, and it's the hilarious thing is that people don't think this is possible. They can simply say next week, yeah, we've changed our mind. They can do that within their bylaws, according to Ballotpedia and according to 538. God forbid, there doesn't need to be a calamity. So I'm not even referring to a calamity. Neither was Judge Jeanine or Jesse Waters. But of course, they make everything into this, grandiose scandal, except when it's Secret Service agents going to numerous Hollywood celebrities, the doors of numerous Hollywood celebrities, who have literally wished for the worst against President Trump and his family. They have zero shame. It's unbelievable. Zero shame. But yeah, I mean, you read Rose McGowan's tweets, Hollywood's the last place. Hollywood's the last place I would go to for any moral guidance. For any moral guidance at all. I would not go to Hollywood at all. Jimbo! Massive flotilla for Trump in Florida. Jimbo! Jimbo, thank you. Like I said, Jimbo, Biden wouldn't even get drifting plywood. He wouldn't even get plankton. Okay? CG3SSF. I need your hope. But I can't seem to make hope and history right. CG3SSF, hello. J Spot J, in the same breath he condemned the racists. Exactly. Of course. J Spot J. Mike F. Would you ever work for Dave Portnoy? You fit his sports politics-ish. Well, I don't. I would do a collaboration, but I don't know if I would want to work for him or anyone. I enjoy my YouTube channels and my writing, but I would definitely. I actually really liked his interview with President Trump. It was a great interview. It was very interesting too, Mike. Dave Portnoy interviewed President Trump, and you got to see Trump's personality. You got to see him. You know, when you have Jonathan Swan, you couldn't find a more disingenuous journalist Jonathan, I covered the Trump rallies. They hang on your every word, Mr. President. And when you say it's under control, it gives them a false sense of security. It's like, who are these people? This is another reason why they'll lose. Who are these Trump supporters? Like this is, and like, you know, God bless people from the South. This is how Democrats think of Trump supporters. This is just a shtick, okay? This isn't the Democratic mind. This is like the average Trump supporter says, oh, golly gee, Norma Jean, Trump said everything's okay, so we can go ahead and lick toilet seats. Well, there's nothing going on anymore. Trump said everything's okay. I'm not going to believe the Democrats. Jonathan Swan is right. You know, I just wish the Democrats would realize that everything Trump says, we basically worship. He said everything's under control. That means we can go out and lick toilet seats. And, well, he's given us a green light to just find a perfect stranger and French kiss them. Thank you, President Trump. You've liberated us during this fake pandemic. No, Jonathan Swan, that's not what Trump ever said or insinuated. Jimbo, Jay Swan, son of a lefty from our public broadcaster. Jimbo, thank you. Yeah, but the disingenuous nature of first of all, my favorite Australian of all time, Julian Assange, one of my, if not my favorite, God bless him. So I love Australia, and then Jimbo, and then Aussie J, and then oh my God, there's so many awesome ones on this channel. So many great. My Australian crew is strong on this channel. Thank you so very, very much, Jimbo. I love Australia. But Jonathan Swan is like, just like every American journalist, I mean, it's like so disingenuous. I'm talking about percentage of I'm talking about percentage of population. Oh, you're talking about cases? I'm gonna squint right here. I don't understand what you're saying. Oh, and of course, I'm not even trying to do an Australian accent, but like, well, yeah. Why wouldn't you focus on mortality rate, Jonathan Swan? Oh, that's right. You want to say that we're doing worse than other countries, even though the percentage of population is not Trump's fault, because you have urban centers in New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Michigan, Pennsylvania. You can add 3 other Democratic-run states, account for half of the lives lost and half of the cases. Go look it up in the New York Times. You have about 8 states out of 50 that account for half. They're all run by Democrats. Democratic governors, Democratic senators, Democratic mayors. And they say, well, there are certain people who are being hit harder than others, and who are the politicians representing and protecting these people? Or who are the politicians who have refused to protect these people? Where is the highest unemployment rate? Go look at the unemployment statistics. The unemployment statistics show that the highest unemployment rate, we'll look it up right now. We'll look it up right now. Massachusetts, which is a blue state, they have a Republican governor, but it's a blue state. Elizabeth Warren. New Jersey, New York, and then Nevada, then California, Michigan, Illinois. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And Hawaii, that's a blue state. Pennsylvania, Delaware, Rhode Island, Alaska, New Hampshire, and Oregon. So aside from Alaska and Nevada, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You have, of the 13 states with the highest unemployment, Massachusetts, New York, and New Jersey have 17, 16, 15% unemployment. Are you kidding me? These also have the highest rates of the pandemic and lives lost and unemployment. This is Trump's fault. Does Trump run Massachusetts? Does Trump run New Jersey or New York or California or Michigan or Illinois? No. Pritzker and Whitmer and Murphy and, Cuomo, they don't call Trump before they make decisions. Pete Solano, Biden's speech tonight looked pre-recorded just in case he said something. Exactly. Well, there's no passion. You can say what you like about Hillary Clinton. Oh, HB, thank you so very much. Or H8. I just want to thank you, everybody, for watching. You can say what you like about my wife, but one thing's for sure. There's passion and energy. The I'm with her crowd runs the Democratic Party. And you'll see when H.A. Badman makes the biggest political call of all time. Because I want to tell you something. There's a better chance of a rhinoceros running out of my rear end than Biden going up against Trump in a debate where he would be eaten alive. So Democratic states have the highest unemployment, the most cases, the most lives lost because of the pandemic, and it's Trump's fault. And then you get people saying, well, New York did a good job. Really? And then you get people, well, the population. Okay, then you're admitting that we have 320 million Americans, so that's different. And also you're admitting that if it's about population within states, guess what? Florida and Texas are doing infinitely better in terms of aggregate numbers. Then they say, well, the rates of increase, yeah, because you're looking at a tiny fraction of lives lost in Texas and a small fraction, I should say. When you're talking about lives lost and numbers, you can't. I mean, there's no tact. There's no appropriate way to discuss. There's no appropriate way to discuss. There's no tactful, sensitive way to discuss like people losing their lives. Okay, but fraud cash investigate. Yeah, totally. I mean, the media. This is the thing. Fried cash and everybody here. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that the media is an extension of the Democratic Party. We all know this. That's why they don't go after the New York governor for the horrendous way in which he dealt with the pandemic, where on March 1st, he said, this is a quote from March 1st. You can look it up. The risk remains low on March 1st. And then they say, oh, Trump mitigated, he said that he downplayed the risk. Here we have from New York's governor, March 1st, 2020. We have learned the first positive case. There is no reason for undue anxiety. The general risk remains low in New York. We are diligently managing this situation. The general risk remains low. It is the epicenter of the pandemic worldwide, which has contributed to the overall toll of lives lost around the country, because you have New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and people voted in person in Florida, in Arizona, and Wisconsin, and Illinois during the Democratic primary that doesn't run on the popular vote, so you can take erasing the Electoral College and shove it where the sun don't shine. And they don't run by the popular vote. They have state primaries just like we do, similar to the Electoral College. At least exactly the same in terms of having states vote. And it's very similar also because the delegate count is it's exactly the same. The delegate count is predicated upon the population of the state. So that's why New York and California have a whole lot more delegates in the Democratic primary than Iowa, which is hilarious because their entire Democratic primary is run the way the Electoral College runs in the presidential election. Then they say, then another hypocrite, they say, oh my God, you got to vote via mail. Well, where were the mail-in ballots before the country Before the curve was flattened nationwide, they had people voting against Medicare for All in Wisconsin in the rain. When Biden wins Wisconsin in the Democratic primary, you have a problem in the Democratic primary. A big problem. A big problem. Wisconsin is a left-leaning state. And they have a choice between Medicare for All. This is like another thing. This is another thing I don't get about the Democratic Party and liberals and progressives and the left. They scream at the top of their lungs about Medicare for All, which is I have an uncle in France. He told me, like, I visited France 15 years ago, and he said he had heart surgery, and he was telling me it was like the total was like $200. People voted in Wisconsin in the rain against Medicare for All during a pandemic. And you have a federal budget. Let's see, 2020 was $4.79 trillion. Okay. But you have a federal budget where where progressives are far like Medicare for All crew has not explained how within the federal budget, where well over a quarter is already health care, how are you going to fit the health care? That's health care that takes into account that protects right now about 70 million people with Medicare and other federal health plans. So how are you going to, if you have a $4 trillion budget, how are you going to fit that in the federal budget? How are you going to go from paying for the health care you go from around 60 to about 70 million people to 320 million people? They say, well, Medicare for All, Medicare. Well, you haven't explained how. If you could explain how, that'd be great. Could explain how, that would be great. But they haven't. So, and then they say, well, you know what? If you disagree with it, then you're against healthcare. Is what in 2017, healthcare was 28%. Let's see, this one. 23% in 2011, so it's well over 25%. So a quarter of the budget already is. So I'm not even arguing against Medicare for All. If it's feasible, fantastic. If it's feasible, fantastic. I'm actually for it if it's feasible. They haven't explained how it could be feasible, and Democrats voted against it in Wisconsin and Illinois and Florida and Arizona. Like, the Democratic Party, even though they cheated Bernie Sanders in Iowa, which is why Madam Secretary will eventually be debating President Trump, I will have made the biggest political call of all time. This is what they're all about. It's just all about, they're pulling on heartstrings, and they don't care about actual morality, because morality also revolves around reality. Like, you're not moral if you constantly harp on something that's impossible or not feasible. Or you're not moral if you're constantly trying to shame the Democratic Party when they want you to shame them. Do you think they care about YouTube channels or pundits or people on Twitter saying I want health care, or whatever, even if the appeals are actual, like, legitimate and valid, and they're coming from a good place? I just want health care, pandemic, You think the Democratic Party cares? They don't care at all, because they know eventually people are going to vote for Clinton 2020. I won't even talk about Biden 2020 because the notion is too absurd. I don't care if the fact that he accepted the nomination in a Zoom meeting that you could use for to instead of like whale sounds or listening to the ocean or waves to fall asleep. You could just listen to Biden's speech, or you can listen to my speech, which is actually a tiny bit more thrilling than Biden's speech. But healthcare is already a quarter of the national budget of over $4 trillion. How do you go from the 60 to 80 million people that are covered right now to 320 million Americans? This is another thing that Jonathan Swan was disingenuous about. He's like, 1,000 people losing their lives a day. Yeah, we have a country of 120 million Americans. We're not as healthy as the average South Korean. We're not as healthy or in shape as the average South Korean or the average Swedish person or British person. We're just not. Okay? That's our country is, unfortunately, and then they say, like, one thing you learn from the pandemic, you do have to take care of your body. You do have to take care of your health. If you're obese, every flu season, you have 80,000 Americans lose their lives. This is infinitely worse. This pandemic is infinitely worse than a flu season, But where were the wonderful experts telling you to do, protecting you in January or February, though they were worried about impeaching Trump? They didn't care. The Democrats, it's always a calamity of biblical proportions, and if you don't subscribe to their manic, hysterical, apoplectic view of life, it is like, oh my God, you're the worst person. The soul of this country is at stake. Well, thank God President Trump's going to win. I don't want my soul tied to Biden in any way, shape, or form. It won't be Biden, it'll be Clinton. But I don't want the Democrats anywhere near my soul. Robert Barron, we have less bacteria in our guts. Maybe. Robert Barron. All they do is yell at the top of their lungs. And they yell at the top of their lungs. Everything is apoplectic. Media is just an extension of the Democratic Party. Media is just an extension of the Democratic Party. And media used to be like objective enough to where there was an actual debate as to whether or not they might be biased. The left, the far left especially, makes the most absurd points, or their arguments are based solely on emotion, not rational thought. Which is why they lost to President Trump in 2016. It wasn't the Russians. It wasn't Russian Facebook ads. Which Facebook ads swung Wisconsin voters? I want to know. Then you have Kevin Kleinsmith indicted for setting up and framing President Trump. And then they're like, they're happy about Steve Bannon. Well, that has nothing to do with voting for Trump. Nothing to do. There have been Democratic politicians indicted also in the past 4 years, past 10 years. So what? What does that have to do with Clinton? So they run this like the most vapid, hypocritical, and then they say, oh, well, we're fighting the alt-right. We're fighting, hey, well, how many of these left-leaning people have debated Richard Spencer? I have. I defeated all of his arguments with reason and logic because I opposed them. I don't even, they're so, especially the last 20 minutes of my debate with Richard Spencer, I expose, his true arguments and I defeat them. And I kind of explain how frightening and how atrocious
the world he alluded to would be. And I did that through reason and logic and a civil debate where we discussed ideas and I opposed his ideas. That's what you do in a debate. You oppose and you dismantle the other person's arguments. And you defeat their arguments with logic and reason. You don't just yell and screech at the top of it or try to insult and think that you're really fighting the bad guys. How many people on the left have debated Richard Spencer? I wonder why they haven't. Because they love to talk about how they're fighting, hate online, but they never debate anyone that is or contradict anyone or dismantle the arguments of the people that they claim to oppose in a debate. What they want to do is debate other leftists or debate anyone else but the people that they claim they truly oppose. And by the way, there's a lot of... You can find the left is full of the most anti-Semitic people. The left is full of the most anti-Semitic, vile, disingenuous pundits who craft their arguments only around trying to be morally superior, and they don't realize, and I'm kind of speaking in a roundabout way, but they don't realize they have a lot more in common with the 1930s and 1940s Germans, and I can't use the name, than they would think. Okay? Look at what the left does. They obsess. And the hatred and the contempt that they spew against one country in the Middle East, happens to be the only Jewish state in the entire world. And it's the left that would fight? It's the left that would fight the 1930s and 1940s Germans? I don't think so. The left has a lot more in common with that regime than they would like to admit. You can look at statements that they've made. You could look at things that they advocate. I'm speaking in a roundabout way, but the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is that there is absolutely no way they have any chance to defeat President Trump with Botox B. Like, zero chance. And then when he loses, because he will, this channel and H.A. Goodman's other channel will be the two channels that you have to visit, at least for a little while. September 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and throughout, the remainder of this election and past the election into next year, obviously. Because the realization of Trump winning is going to be even more enjoyable. The day after is going to be even more enjoyable than the meltdown the night of. And I am telling you something you can let everybody know this. One of the biggest reasons President Trump's going to win, in addition to the fact that he stands for a great many things, and he actually stands for policies, a reversal of U.S. foreign policy, which is the biggest issue, addressing the trade imbalance with China. The left can say, at least he stands for something. You can disagree with his policies, but he stands for a whole bunch of things. Going up against corrupt intelligence officials, there was Russian interference. One of the biggest reasons is because the left and the far left are so god-awful and utterly incompetent. And they're focused only on this morality fetish they have. Every human being wants to be moral. Every human being is against racism. Pretty much every person in the United States of America is against racism. Every human being in the United States of America has a good understanding of right and wrong. What the left does is we can go on forever. Their obsession with Medicare for all, for example,
while at the same time their inability to talk about Clinton's email servers with top secret intel on them is exactly why they lose all the time. Is exactly why they get stomped on and cheated by the Democratic Party. They never go for the jugular. But Clinton says Tulsi is a Russian operative without any evidence at all, and they just roll with it. Trump says something that's hyperbole. Oh my God, 1,000 fact checkers, 1,000. Clinton says without any evidence at all that Tulsi Gabbard is part of a Russian plot, and they just roll with it. It's her opinion. Oh, and then they say, well, she didn't mention Tulsi by name. You have, the left also has the Green Party. They could simply join a third party and leverage and force the Democratic Party through political leverage to say, look, we're not going to vote Democrat if you don't do this. Not yet, because I always said Birds Nation 302. But I said he could become nominee and Clinton could replace him. I am not wrong yet. I'll be wrong about that on November 3rd. If they go with Biden, I'll be wrong for a second, and I'll be wrong, and then we party and be here, Birds Nation 302. We party with everyone here when President Trump wins. You was wrong about Joe Biden becoming nominee. I just hope you're not wrong about Trump winning. I hope so too. I don't see that. I don't even think ultimately. I think I will have made the biggest political call of all time. They can't go with Joe Biden. I don't see them. I don't see them going with Joe. I mean, this is Birds Nation 302. I don't understand something. They don't even have a political party. They nominated Joe Biden in a glorified Zoom meeting. He won the election in March. He won the nomination in March. My prediction is at some point, and I always said either before or after the convention, I was expecting Biden to be replaced by Clinton at the convention. That's for sure. But I always said at some time, and I don't know when, Clinton will eventually be nominee. So until November 3rd, I'm not going to acknowledge anything because I think that I don't see that. I think they have something up their sleeves. Birds Nation 302. They're not really going with Biden. I just don't see. I just don't see them going with Biden. I think it's a charade. I still think it's a charade. I can't wrap my brain around it. And I'm confident because does anyone here think that Biden could possibly win? Birds Nation 302, thank you very, very much. Go Flyers, go Eagles, Birds Nation 302, thank you. I just don't. The fact that he won a nomination in a political party that always cheats doesn't mean that they're not going to replace him. I've always said I don't know when it's going to happen. He could possibly accept the nomination, although I didn't think that he would. But I always said he could possibly accept the nomination, and somehow, some way, Madam Secretary is going to be nominee. She will be. Hillary Clinton is the best chance they have, and if I know this, they know this. Hillary Clinton is the only chance they have to defeat President Trump, and even she would lose to President Trump. But if I can look at the political landscape and say that Hillary Clinton is the best chance that they have to defeat President Trump, and Hillary Clinton is infinitely better than Joe Biden, I don't see why it's not possible for them to just find, any reason. Maybe because Clinton does better among Black and Latino voters. Maybe because Biden has been accused of suppressing the Latino vote in Florida. Maybe because Biden is horrendous in every single possible way. I don't know. But I'm not wrong yet. If on that ballot it's Biden versus Trump, I will be wrong about Clinton being nominee, but I'll be right about Trump winning. So that'll be 2 elections in a row that I've called. Birds Nation 302, thank you. Just wait. They're not going to put Biden out there to debate Trump. Otherwise, they lose miserably. Clinton stands up to President Trump. I'm not a fan of Clinton, but she can stand up to Trump. She has the gravitas. She has the experience that they love, voting alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. She could be the first female president. The Russians stole it from her. The past 4 years, they cheated Bernie Sanders in Iowa. They didn't do it for Biden. And I don't see it as absurd, judging by everything that they've done, for them to just say, look, you know what, we need a new nominee. And according to Ballotpedia and 538, they can do that. They don't even have a political party. So it's basically, look, the DNC fraud lawsuit, the attorney in the DNC fraud lawsuit stated that Jared Beck, Elizabeth Beck, and Nico House-Wage, the attorney stated that they can pick their nominee in smoke-filled back rooms. Why is it so beyond reason that they just decide, hey, you know what? Biden just doesn't give us any enthusiasm. You know who would? Hillary Clinton. Everyone is going to watch the debates. Everyone is going to, at least she would get millions upon millions of women and Democrats to say, we want the first female president. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, Clinton will be on that ballot, and Clinton will be debating President Trump because she's the only chance they have. Birds Nation 302, thank you. Mike F, HAC, if Trump doesn't win, I need to waste my... No, Mike F, don't do that. Don't do that at all. Mike F, I love you. I'm going to delete that just because I have to implement the Wally Pop rule. I know you were just joking, but Mike F, thank you so very much. I just got to implement the Wally Pop rule on that, but thank you so very, very much. Mike F, God bless you. Look, if Clinton wins, because Biden has zero chance to win, but if Clinton were to win, I would say God bless America, and I would say James Clapper and Comey and Strzok and Hollywood and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Tom Perez and Cheney, Bush, and Rumsfeld all won. And I would be upset about it, very upset about it, but I would still say God bless America. But Mike F, thank you. I apologize. I had to just implement the Wally Pop rule. But Wally Pop, I love you. Mike F, thank you so very, very much. Thank you. Robert Barron! Rumors of quarantine blockchain for voting is going to ensure no cheating. Rumors of quarantine blockchain for voting. I haven't heard that. Robert Barron, thank you. I haven't heard that at all. HB, good night. I haven't heard about that. Pete Solano! Biden is going to be eaten by... You know what? Birds Nation, Pete Solano, Mike F, Robert Barron. I don't understand, like, people say, well, you see, you were wrong. Like, why? Well, he accepted the nomination. So, have you listened to his acceptance speech? Does anything about this nomination seem legitimate? I am not going to give them the benefit of believing that they're truly serious about Biden. Nobody in the the only chance they have, and please quote me, somebody quote me, the only chance they have is Hillary Clinton to defeat President Trump. If I know this, they know this. There's nothing stopping them from next week saying, gosh, you know, Hillary's a better candidate. Let's have a vote. We'll replace Biden. You think Vox would say this is outlandish? Who would the New York Times, vote for Trump and protest? What would they do? What would be the repercussions of switching Only because they say, you know what, our internal polling says Biden has as much charisma as a withering plant. So we're just going to, you know what, MSNBC, CNN, here are a couple pundits saying Clinton is the best choice. And here's, we have James Clapper saying Russia stole the election from Hillary. And the New York Times and the Washington Post and MSNBC and CNN and Daily Beast and Vanity Fair. And everyone just writes some nice articles about Clinton and how Biden really wants Clinton to be nominee. And he's thought about it. Who cares? Who's going to say, what Democrat is going to say, I'll vote for Trump? And think of the millions upon millions upon millions of people around the world who would watch a Clinton versus Trump part 2. And why did President Trump, I was going to do a segment on this. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to annoy the viewers I have. I'm not going to annoy them even more. Why would President Trump say, see you on the field of battle, Hillary and President Obama? Why would he do that? Just because of that one night? It has nothing to do with the field of battle. It has nothing to do. He's talking. I mean, it seems that he's alluding to a campaign. Then he goes, why didn't President Obama vote for Biden? Something is very bizarre, and I'm the only person on the internet telling you something's very bizarre. There's no way that Biden defeats President Trump. There is a way that Hillary Clinton defeats President Trump. And I've written endlessly about how horrendous Clinton is. But I'm telling you, in the Huffington Post, and all my writing was given a stamp of approval by the editors there. My prediction remains just as relevant as before he accepted the Zoom meeting nomination. They're not going to go with Tales from the Crypt. They're going to go with possibly the first female president. And it could be Tom Perez can say, you know, our internal polling, paint watches Biden dry. Exactly, HB, easy peasy. Exactly. Hillary Clinton has the gravitas. She has the gravitas. Biden does not have the gravitas. Cosmic Grandpa! Wally Pop is going to be sorry she missed it. I love Wally Pop. Cosmic Grandpa! I love Cosmic Grandpa. Nerbleflorp! Cosmic Grandpa. Nerbleflorp is one of the best names. Nerbleflorp is one of the best names in the history of the internet. Nerbleflorp! Thank you so very much, Nerbleflorp. Thank you. Nerbleflorp. Who has more gravitas than Hillary Clinton? Nerbleflorp. If I gave you $100 to listen to Biden for 1 hour, would you do it? No. If someone gave me I'm not wealthy, okay? I'm surviving on this channel survives, I should say, because of my support on Patreon and my super chats, and so thank you. And God bless you, and thank you for allowing me to be an independent voice. And, you know, this channel is growing. H.A. Goodman's other channel is growing. The sky's the limit. But I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding. I don't have PACs that have, millions of dollars, So I'm, $100, sure, a lot of money to me and to you. Would if someone paid me $100 to listen to Biden for 1 hour, I wouldn't do it. Listen to Trump for 1 hour, I would do it for free, pretty much, because he's hilarious. I mean, you'd pay me, listen to anyone for an hour. Well, I do it on this channel, but if you listen to Trump, if he gave an hour speech, I'd listen to it. I wouldn't listen to it like over and over again for hours and hours, but I would spend an hour listening to President Trump. When I was a Democrat, I could spend an hour listening to President Obama, no problem. How much money would you need? Nerbleflorp and everyone here. By the way, thank you, Nerbleflorp, for your generosity. Thank you. Candace, thank you very much, Candace. Robert Barron. Don't forget you have great wisdom, though. Thank you, Robert Barron. Thank you. Thank you very much, Robert Barron. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated, Robert Barron. Thank you. Candace. Thank you, Candace. Thank you. Nerbleflorp and Candace. How much would you need to listen to Biden for an hour?
I don't know how much somebody can pay me to listen to somebody who has the charisma of a wilting flower and the personality of expired milk. I listen to Biden and I want to fall asleep listening to Biden's acceptance speech. I don't care if Biden becomes nominee, because at the end, it's going to be a great time November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on this channel.
I mean, I like it's not a pleasant experience listening to this man. It is not a pleasant experience. Robert Barron, Candace, Nerbleflorp. Jujins, hello, yes. Woke AF, hello. Do the ghost. Oh, CG3SSF. I don't know what you're talking about. It is not an enjoyable experience to listen to Biden. I will say this, and maybe it's because, like, they've turned me into a complete wreck, but I could listen to Clinton being interviewed. Maybe not a speech, but I can listen to a Clinton interview for an hour just because it's enjoyable to me for some bizarre reason. And because I can always be like, what? No, that's not true. But I can, my brain would be like, that's not true at all. But Clinton has, when Democrats would listen to her easily for an hour. President Obama, no doubt. Bill Clinton, not really. Oh, but you can listen to me for at least a half hour. Biden, you cannot listen to for more than maximum 10 minutes, maximum. He is so boring that there's nothing offensive about him. And I don't know why I'm unable to listen to this man. But it's almost like, Little Stevie, 4172. Remember when Trump was swatting the mosquitoes and he said, I don't like mosquitoes. Like, I should remember. I remember. He's hilarious. Candace, Nerbleflorp. Little Stevie, 4172. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't. There's something about Botox B. That I can't put my finger on. Something's going on. Birds Nation 302, just wait. Madam Secretary will be on that ballot. She'll be debating President Trump. I will have made the biggest political call of all time. And if not, I make a great political call when Trump wins. Something's going on. We don't really have an election now. We will have an election when Hillary becomes nominee. And they can just have a meeting. Tom Perez, are you listening? Tom Perez. This is a respectful message to the leader of the DNC. Tom Perez, Mr. Perez. You have a candidate who can possibly defeat Trump. I'm a Trump supporter, I'm telling you. Now, I don't believe that Clinton would defeat Trump, which is why I'm telling you. But she could definitely get close. Definitely get very, very close. Like 70,000 votes close. And we have no Russian Facebook ads. So, and Bernie wasn't cheated in Iowa. So that's fine. So nobody was cheated this election. Everything's fine, very fair. Everything's wonderful. What's the problem? So, Mr. Perez, please. Hillary Clinton is infinitely better. She has the gravitas. Clinton has the gravitas. Look it up. Look it up. Look. Clinton is the embodiment of gravitas. She has the experience. She could be the first female president on the centennial of the 19th Amendment. What could be better? Okay, instead, you have Tales from the Crypt. And I swear to God, paint watches him dry. And the nomination is, nobody cares. Like, there's no sanctity to the Democratic primary anyway. Everyone knows they just do whatever they want. So Mr. Perez, the Democratic brass, simply go look at your internal polling that says that Clinton does better among Latino and Hispanic and Black and African American voters. Go look at your internal polling that says Hillary Clinton would bring immense amount of enthusiasm within the Democratic Party. Go look at your internal polling that say the Democrats are more enthusiastic and passionate about a Hillary Clinton 2020 than Biden. And tell Biden, hey, thank you. It's been nice. Do you mind if Hillary becomes nominee? And he'll be like, here's some old man, dog pony soldier, corn pop, cornflakes. And then that means yes. And then you go. And the entire planet watches, dun dun dun, Trump Clinton 2. This time it's no holds barred. Trump Clinton in the octagon. Yeah, why not? Why? Why would you subject the whole country to Biden? He's not going to win. You know the polls are horrendous. You know the entire media is propping him up like Weekend at Biden's, the Bidening. Why would you do the Bidening when you can have Hillary 2020? Mr. Perez, she's the best candidate that you have. She has the gravitas. But don't listen to me. What do I care? You think it's like if my prediction, the H.A. Goodman prophecy, doesn't happen, we have President Trump wins, and that's another prophecy of mine. So whatever. It's like, you try to help people, and what do you get? You get nothing. You get bupkis. No good deed goes unpunished. No good. Nurble flop! Lori, thank you, Lori. Nurble flop! Who has the gravitas? Who has the gravitas? Hillary Clinton has the gravitas. Gravitas is important. Okay? You need somebody. Nurbleflorp. I love that name. I love Nurbleflorp. Thank you, by the way, for your generosity, Nurbleflorp. Hillary Clinton has suffered for our sins. She's been unfairly criticized by a lot of people. And I, for one, want to say that I would actually vote for Clinton if it were not for Trump, President Trump. So imagine. You have to ask yourself, if you're Tom Perez of the Democratic National Committee, what happens if we trot out Weekend at Biden's and we lose? That means a generation of voters you've lost. What happens if you try again with Hillary Clinton? Do you want the Russians? Do you want the Russians to have stolen this election or the future of this country from us with Facebook ads that were nefarious? No. Don't let the Putins dictate what takes place in this country's future. And, you could have the first female president. And everyone wants to see Hillary versus Trump again. They don't want to see Biden versus anyone because it's not a fair fight. It is a sad and pathetic experience to see that. And Nurbleflorp, thank you again for your generosity. I just want to say, when it happens, because it's going to be Clinton debating Trump, be here on this channel. I will actually be a fan of Hillary Clinton. I swear to you on this. I'm not joking on this. I will be a fan of Clinton because I'll be like, yes, this is fantastic. Let's see. I will tune in. I will be glued to that TV along with everyone here. I'll be glued to that phone. It will be the biggest, it will be the most watched thing in internet history. We will have gone from Salmon X to the loudest rock and roll concert of all time. We will have gone from, wait, what was that sleep medication? The Salmonex? Oh, Salmonex. We will have gone from a just dozing off. Like, this election is so boring. Say what you want about my prediction, which will be the biggest prediction of all time. Say what you want, but at least I added some interest. I mean, it's just so boring. It's so boring. It's so boring. So boring. So boring. But when Clinton and Trump, oh my God. So Tom Perez, please do the right thing. Don't let the Putins decide our country's fate and future. Okay? I want the AFC champs and the NFC champs. I want Tyson Holyfield. I want, I want Tyson Fury Wilder. I want Ali Frazier. I want Celtics Lakers. Nobody says, nobody says, gosh, I can't wait to that storied rivalry of, Yankees and Tampa Bay Devil Rays. I mean, nobody says that. They say, I want Yankees Dodgers or Yankees Red Sox, they say. Tampa Bay won 10-5 today. And they're first in the AL East, but you know what I mean. Nobody says, nobody says, when they're thinking, like, when sports fans debate, like, who do you think would it be, like the 96 Bulls, versus the 88 Lakers, or they don't say, like, gosh, you think the 96 Bulls could defeat the 1973 junior college basketball team? Nobody would even take a second to even think like that. So why put Biden versus Trump? Makes no sense. Exactly, Padres. SJ! I listened to the talking for $100 an hour for an hour. I don't give a fuck about Horse Face Bunny Soldier and Corn Pop stories. And I'm a dedicated YouTuber. Nice! SJ, thank you! SJ, thank you! SJ, thank you so very, very much. Thank you for watching. SJ, thank you for watching. Jimbo! Biden trying to convince us that he's a septuagenarian reincarnation of Barry Inspiring. Oh, I know. Well, I don't even know what he was trying to do. I don't know if you heard the actual, I don't know if you actually heard the acceptance speech, but I'm telling you, SJ and Jimbo, it was exactly like this, I'm going to save the soul of this nation, your soul. Give your soul to the Republic and your soul. Pete Solano! HA, would you vote for HRC if there was no Trump? I'm being facetious, obviously, but Pete Solano, thank you so very much. Pete, I'm just being facetious. Pete Solano! Mad Cow Mark! Aussie support, HA. This is from all the Aussies who are not working. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, it's thank you, Mad Cow Mark, very, very, very much. Mad Cow Mark, thank you very, very much, and God bless the people of Australia. And I always said we'll look back at this, and maybe there was a middle ground between tanking the world economy or our country's economies and saving lives. I never understood. That's a whole other story. Mad Cow Mark, thank you so much for being part of the most amazing crew of Australian viewers. Thank you so very much, Jimbo and Mad Cow Mark. And you can see I'm going after 2 hours here, 2 hours and 6 minutes, and my energy level is down, and I'm still up. I mean, compared to Biden, it's like no contest, I mean, Biden's energy level is just so down. Mad Cow Mark, thank you so very, 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 very much, as always, Mad Cow Mark. God bless the people of Australia and people who are suffering around the world from the economy, their economies being, devastated. Thank you, Mad Cow Mark, as always. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Cat Papa Bob Anderson. How did Clinton end up? Cat Papa Bob Anderson. I have no clue. Rhett Lindsay. Cat Papa Bob Anderson, thank you as always for your generosity. I have no clue. Rhett Lindsay. Every news outlet, including Fox, is saying Biden. Of course. I know you didn't like, but I wonder what normal people thought of it. I think, Rhett, that normal people didn't care. I think most people did not care at all. The media is 60% of Americans don't trust the media, and I just think it's like so, I just don't think, because I was actually really trying to, I knew I'm obviously biased, so I'm looking at it with, obviously a viewpoint that, is not, but it was boring beyond belief. There's no passion. There's no energy. Hillary Clinton would bring passion and energy, and I will have made the biggest political call of all time. If not, I'll make a great political call, okay? Rhett Lindsay, thank you. I think that most people found it boring. Illuminati! What are your thoughts on Laura Loomer? I'm happy for her. God bless her. Winning congressional primary, being purchased social media. God bless her. God bless her. I'm very, very happy for her, and God bless her. That is something the Medicare for All people should have done. Well, actually, one of them did, but Bernie Sanders is like, I endorse you. Actually, you know what? I can't endorse. I endorse this person. Oh, I can't endorse. By the way, my movement, which is now a gigantic bowel movement, is bigger than one person. So I just want to say that I did endorse, and now I unendorse. I did endorse, I now unendorse, and that's it. If you don't like it, too bad. You know what you can kiss. I unendorsed, I endorsed, I endorsed, I unendorsed. I unendorsed the person that I did endorse prior who gave me a lot of media coverage. And what can I tell you? First, last. I didn't see that. Thank you. Candace, thank you as always. Candace, thank you. Thank you, Candace. Robert Barron, thank you very, very much. Little Stevie. Jimbo. Cali boy! Joe Biden been waiting over 30 years for this moment. Too bad he's not here to... Yeah. Cali boy! Mad Cow Mark, thank you. Cat Papa Bob Anderson, thank you. Mad Cow Mark, thank you. Cali Boy, thank you so very much. Cali Boy. I don't know why I'm like... let's see. SJ! Funny thing about the acceptance speech, it was pre-recorded. That was the best take. That's right. It wasn't live? No, it wasn't. The whole thing's a Zoom meeting, so Norm, thank you. Norm, thank you. Norm, thank you. SJ, yeah, I don't, this is something I don't understand. Hollywood has given, like Hollywood is an extension of the Democratic Party. They couldn't come up with better production. My posters, by the way, I redid my posters in my other studio. My 15-year-old in 1978 posters behind me, I think better production quality than the Democratic Party. And it's like, you don't have enough money that Madam Secretary helped you get? I got a small favor to ask of you, everybody. You got $1. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Biden, who'll then give it to Madam Secretary. Tom Perez, think. You have somebody who could possibly defeat Trump. Why am I telling you this, Mr. Perez? Because I know it ain't going to happen anyway. Okay? Think. Don't let the Putins decide the course of American. Look, Hillary Clinton has the gravitas. Clinton has the support, grassroots support. This is true. The I'm with her people will vote for Clinton in 2024, 2028, 2032, 2036. And those are the people who are propping up Biden's campaign. Biden doesn't have any grassroots support. Hillary Clinton does. So it's just a matter of time before, get the switch going, please. We're all going to expire from boredom. Old school dad man, time for the next conviction. Exactly. And you're going to see. I heard today, old school dad man, that cocaine match is not speaking. They wouldn't let me speak. You know what? They don't want the sensual, the heat that I can give out from my erotic persona. My machismo is too much for them. My raw animal instincts, my musk, so to speak. When I speak to people, they can actually, through the TV screen, especially Nancy Pelosi, when they hear the name Mitch McConnell, people get into heat. They just it takes getting grounded to a new kind of it's like the Olympics of eroticism. I heard McConnell might not speak, or is not going to speak, or whatever. So, Mad Cow Mark, thank you. Juanito Moon! Trump versus Hillary match. Exactly! Juanito Moon! Exactly. They'll do what's right. If there's one thing I know about the Democratic Party, it's the Democratic Party is like watching a good magician while you're drunk. It's like if he's a good magician or if she's a good magician, you don't even, they'll, perform the magic trick and you won't know what's going on. But if you're drunk already, it's like, oh my God, you definitely won't know what's going on. So, Eric H526. During the speech by 100, my husband turned the channel to RV Living. BDH 2019, hello. Let's see, Joe. Let's see what the media is saying. Oh, I just love it. Voices from Fox News to MSNBC praise Joe Biden's accepting speech. Yay! Oh, this is Politico. What we learned about Joe Biden during his bizarre 4-day convention. Yeah, they're going with Hillary. Politico doesn't run those kind of public, Even, look at the news. It's like, DNC 2020 live updates and live streams. Joe Biden. DNC 2020 Fox News thinks Joe Biden's speech was a home run. The crack of the bat, a home run. Wow. As Joe Biden prepares to accept the Democratic nomination for president, a furious Trump took to Twitter. Here we go, the Trump. All the Republicans who have endorsed Joe Biden, that's why I'm voting for Trump. This is so hilarious. They might as well. It's like they're so oblivious to
Oh, this is horrible. You type in Joe Biden, this is horrible. Let me check my phone. The best thing you get is CNN, the trusted news and name. The voices from Fox News to MSNBC praise Joe Biden's acceptance speech. There's you, dog-faced pony soldier. On Fox News, Joe Biden accepts Democratic nomination, says Trump failed to protect Biden. Politico, what we learned about Joe Biden during his bizarre 4-day convention. Oh, wow, this really gets me going. Boring, exactly. LL Cali J, exactly. Come on, man. Here's the deal, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Why did the chicken cross the road? Come on, man. Do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? Come on, man. A person you don't know took your lottery ticket and now is going to get $20 million. Come on, man. Come on, man. Matt Kilmark. It wasn't home run city running home. Something's going on, people. The media is like not happy about. Oh my God, it's actually happening. This is amazing. Because I know it's going to happen, but to see my prediction come in real life it's pretty amazing. I'll pat myself on the back. Actually, I need here. Oh God. All right. Tension. Okay. Yeah. Well, bad man. The sun decided to shine on a dog's behind once at least. Oh my goodness. I need Joe Biden's touch. I need Joe Biden. Oh my God, it's the Bidening. You know what? The next thing they need to do is make the lobster claws. They need to turn his hands into lobster claws. Where he's like, it's happening. It's happening before our very eyes. I don't see nothing wrong with rubbing Joe Biden's leg hair down. That's what one of the progressive politicians was speaking during an event where everyone was wondering why she was speaking this way. She's like, I don't see nothing wrong. And it was AOC. And she was talking about the economy. And she was speaking in a way that she never speaks. Gee, I wonder why she was speaking that way. It's bizarre. But it was like, I thought that she would just start, was it R. Kelly? Anyway. Speaking of R. Kelly and Joe Biden, two people I wouldn't want to really hang out with forever or at all. Actually, they should have got R. Kelly to speak at the DNC convention. I don't see nothing wrong with rubbing Joe Biden's leg hair down. Okay, so R. Kelly to speak at the next Democratic convention. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much. We have done 2 hours. I would say 2 minutes, 2 hours. And it ain't over until the pantsuit debates, or I should say, it ain't over until they do what's right and what's moral and what's just. The golden muumuu will rise again. And God bless her, she's the best thing that Democrats have. She's the best candidate that Democrats have. Tom Perez,
you know you ain't going to win with Biden. The internal polling, well, I don't know about the internal polling, but the polling that people worship, the polls show that Biden does worse among black and Latino voters than Clinton did. Clinton could be the first female president. Nobody cares about the integrity of the Democratic primaries. That's like, saying, the integrity of a speakeasy or the integrity of, a stolen car. Who cares? Nobody cares. People think the nomination of Biden, for God's sake, is legitimate. I mean, it's like, come on. Just have a meeting next week and just say, yeah, you know what? We're just going to switch. And then they switch. It's no problem. Not a big deal. Don't let Putin decide. Putin is the person that stole the election. The Putins. Don't let them do it. Clinton could have won. Clinton has a chance to win again. She has the gravitas. She has the support, grassroots support, which is true among the I'm With Her crowd. And I will have made the biggest political call of all time, people, because they're not going to go with Biden in the debates, and Clinton will be on that ballot on November 3rd. And President Trump's going to win again, but it's just a matter of we need to have an actual election. This is depressing. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless. To my super chat, thank you. God bless Hillary Clinton. She's a wonderful human being. And what can I tell you? God bless President Trump. He is a great president. I'm voting for President Trump. And everyone needs to vote early. Early. Don't wait for long lines. Vote early. And thank you, Kelly. Thank you very much, Kelly. And ladies and gentlemen, God bless America. Thank you. To my super chat, thank you so very much. There's a message for Joe Biden. Thank you so very much, Joe Biden. Corn pop, rubbing my leg hairs down. I don't see nothing wrong with rubbing Joe Biden leg hair down. All right, thank you, everybody. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow. To my super chat, thank you so very much. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, thank you. Check out it. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. I have a great segment. Thanks, everybody. You just wait. Clinton will be at that debate, and she deserves it, and she's fantastic. And President Trump will win again, but it'll be Clinton versus Trump, part 2. See you tomorrow, everyone. God bless America. God bless you. Thank you very, very, very much. And by the way, if you want to be part of my newsletter from my upcoming, my website's going to be up and running soon. It's email me at contactgoodman78@gmail.com. Thank you very much.